Hey, it's Lori Ballen here in Las Vegas. Thank you for joining me today. I want to talk about the new webinar platform that I'm using, and I'm going to walk you through a peek at how Webinar Jam works. We'll talk about some of the reasons why I like it. I'm also going to share with you maybe a couple of things that I don't in case you're trying to compare software. I have just switched from, let's see, I was using, can't remember what I was using before. Then I went to GoToWebinar. And then I tried Get Response, and then I tried another one for a couple minutes. I can't remember what it was. And I've messed with Zoom, and now I'm using Webinar Jam. So far, Webinar Jam is my favorite out of all of them for a variety of reasons, which I'm about to show you in this video. There is a link below the video. I'm going to give you a link to both Webinar Jam and to ever webinar. Now, depending on when you're watching this video, there might be an offer or a trial or discount in one of those links. Check those out. I am an affiliate marketer and I do benefit when you make a purchase through one of my links. So I chose Webinar Jam, and Webinar Jam allows you to host webinars, and it's designed for the marketer, somebody that wants to make sales or sell tickets to your webinar or do a free webinar and sell products. It could be for the real estate agent that wants to host buyer or seller webinars. It could be for coaches and trainers. I do it for a variety of reasons. It's got a lot more to it. It's more robust when it comes to those types of elements than something like Zoom does, okay? So let me go ahead and walk through some of this for you. I'm going to go into members, and I'm going to log in so that you can see what it looks like in the control panel when we actually log in. So we'll go ahead and get that scheduled set up here. There we go. All right. My internet's running just a tad slow today. Okay, so one thing I do like about this platform is that there's lots of built-in training for you. So when I was first starting to learn this, although technology for me is pretty easy to pick up, I'm pretty intuitive as long as the software is intuitive. I can learn it rather quickly, but there were some times when I had to click the little buttons to watch their training videos as I was getting set up, and that was very helpful. Now, I will let you know that I have I had some issues with my camera with Webinar Jam, and I'll show you when we do a little test webinar trial what I had to do to get past that. The first couple of times my camera was very fuzzy, and it was user error, not the platform. I thought it was the platform, but it was me. In fact, I bought a brand new camera thinking there was an issue, but it was not. I do love my camera. It's a Logitech. I'll put a link below so you can check that out. It is connected to my computer, and it has a little built-in light, so I get a little bit more lighting. I get a little more softness, and I do really like the camera, and it works with Webinar Jam. All right, so we've got several settings here. We have in our menu, we have several options. We have our quick start guide. We have a link to all of the webinars we've hosted. Now, I wanted to do enough before I made this video so that I really had a good feel for how it works and if I was going to stick with it. We have the ability to create a new webinar. We have analytics, which is absolutely one of my favorite things about Webinar Jam. And it's something that platforms like Zoom are lacking. And so for me as a marketer, these analytics are a really big deal. And then we have training. Up here on the top, we have my account, webinars on demand, community support, and the log out button. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look here at what a webinar actually looks like. I'm going to show you, we're going to do a little run a test and take a look. So every time you set up a webinar, you actually have the ability to go into a test room and test your microphone and your camera and play with your offers and things like that without it being live. I really think that's a nice feature that they've given us. Also, you have the ability to send your playbacks out automatically, and I've tried this in two different ways. I've tried it where I let the system send out the playback, and then I've done another one where I upload it onto YouTube and I send it out. And my goal for doing it the two different ways is that when you let the system send it out, one, it's automatic, and you can edit the page. So you can put in your affiliate links or your sales items, your calls to action. And when it sends out from the system, it's most like the actual webinar. They can see it much like it was live with the offers and things like that, where when when you just download the video and upload it to YouTube, you've got an MP4 file that takes out a lot of those webinar components. So it looks more like a video, but it takes out some of those webinar calls to actions and things that you actually want in there. So after trying this several times now, I've decided I'm going to allow the system to send out the playback, which I wasn't doing before. And then I might also go behind it with an additional offer or something and send the video playback along with that. So maybe kind of do a couple things. You also have the ability after a webinar to limit the time in which they can watch the playback if you don't want it to be a forever thing. So that's another cool option. In addition, there is an e-commerce ability in the platform with Webinar Jam where you can set up and charge for your webinars. So you're going to have a third-party platform like Stripe or something like that you set up, but you can do it all right here in the webinar platform as well. Okay. So I found that GoToWebinar had more integration options, I think, with some of the other platforms. Somehow we had the ability to, if somebody registered or came through one spot, we could automatically register them for the webinar. Those were some of the more convenient things that we had with GoToWebinar, but everything else about Webinar Jam is better. So I just have not figured out a couple of those automation pieces that we had with GoToWebinar that I would like to bring over to Webinar Jam. Okay. Also, I will let you know that with Webinar Jam, the other drawback is that there's a 10-second delay. So things are not happening exactly as you say them, and you have to allow for that. When you ask a question, giving it a little bit of time for people to respond because of that delay, or if you suddenly talk about an offer and then you're going to click the button to make an offer, the offer may appear before they actually see you say the words. Those are a couple of the little things. For me, those are workaroundable, you know. So let me go show you this run a test. So we'll do this webinar I just did. And what you have here is you can invite people to your webinar. It'll give you a link. You can embed the registration box on your website. You can share a direct link to the live room. You can share registration. You can replay. We're going to go ahead over to presenters login links. And we're going to take a look at what the webinar looks like. So let's go ahead and go to the live room here. Okay, with this webinar has ended. Hold on, let me see if I can get into that one or if we have to set up a new one. Okay.
Testing your webinar.
All right, so let's do it this way then instead. Let's go ahead and let me show you how easy it is to set one up. And that's okay because I wanted to show you how cool these landing pages registration options are anyway, and then we'll do a test on that one. So all you have to do, once your webinar is set up, you can actually clone it. So then all of your favorite settings are really easy to get to. So let's just go ahead and clone this one. We'll make it real simple. You've got the ability to do a quick setup or a comprehensive setup. So basic configuration to advanced configuration. So you can take a look here by clicking on these arrows. You can get help. So we have our basic configuration, which is already configured, who the webinar presenters are, and then you can configure the webinar provider. So let's take a look at each one of these things. Basic configuration, I'm going to click the little pencil. You're going to give the webinar name. So let me just change the name of this. Test for YouTube video. Okay, the language that it's in. And then do you want this to show up in the on-demand section so that other Webinar Jam members can actually see it? You can choose that there. All right, you're going to click confirm. It will make you confirm any changes before it will allow you to go to the next tab. So next we're going to go to schedules. Click the little pencil. Now, do you want this webinar to run right now? Do you want to schedule it? Do you want it to be one presentation or a series of presentations? So let's say I'm going to do a 6-week series. I'm charging, it's an e-class, and I'm going to say it's going to run every Tuesday. Or I'm doing a buyer's workshop, and all first-time home buyers are invited to my 4-part webinar series on how to buy a house for the first time. In the first week, I'm going to have me and my agents talking. In the second week, I'm going to bring on a lender, talk about loans. The third week, maybe I bring on a builder to talk about new construction, you know, that type of thing. So I might set that up in a series rather than just a single presentation. Okay, so we can choose down here. You're going to choose the date, and you're going to choose the time. Now, a cool thing about this is that it will allow you to choose the time zone that you're in. And then when the person registers, they can choose the time zone they're in so that they actually get all of their alerts and everything correct to their time zone, which is very important. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and run this right now. We'll click confirm because we're going to run a test on it anyway. And then we did our webinar schedule, so click next. For right now, webinars, no need to configure any registration page. Oh, but I want you to see the registration page. So let me edit that. Let's schedule it. And let's say we're going to run this on the 31st, which is today, at, let's say we're going to run it at 7 p.m. in Pacific time zone. Then you click add. Okay, and then you can see it's in there. Now we click confirm. Okay, there we go. Now we're going to go to next. All right, registration page and process. Click the little pencil. Look at all of these fantastic options. And these are all customizable. You can add pictures, you can add videos, you can change the countdowns, lots of great registration options here. Or you can run whatever you were running previously and it will run it that way. So let's just go ahead and go with this one. Let's go with this one and click customize so you can see how this works. So you click customize, it'll pop open the template. This is so nice. This is so nice. So then you can just go in here and change at each one of these spots. Change it to your logo, change it to your video. It'll put in the times, it'll automatically put in the presenter information, and then you would change each one of these. Call to action, call to action, call to action, call to action. Once you find one of these that works, there's no reason not to just use the same one and then just change what you're going to cover in that event. Okay, so I like that. Let's just say we're going to use that one. So now we can preview it, or we can save, cancel, and exit. We're going to save and exit and say we like that one. Okay, then we're going to confirm. Next, registration form fields. Look at this, customizable. So we can do first name. Do we want it to be mandatory? Yes or no. Last name, mandatory? Yes or no. Email, mandatory? Yes or no. Phone number. One cool thing that this platform allows us to do is if we collect a phone number and we have an SMS text system set up, I use Twilio. So if you've got something like that, you have a Twilio text phone number, then you can send out an automated text to everybody that says when you're about to start, like 15 minutes prior, that type of thing. So you can send out emails a week before, 3 days before, the day before, an hour before. But then 15 minutes before, I send out a text that says, hey, we're about to go live. And that brings in a lot more people. So if attendance matters to you on your live webinars, this is going to matter. With EverWebinar, you can actually run evergreen webinars, and then the people are going to sign up for your webinar. You've recorded it once. They're going to sign up and watch it as if it were live happening right then. And that's a separate platform. That's an additional fee. But for coaches and trainers, and I'm doing it now for my real estate business. We're getting ready to do a buyer and a seller webinar, and then I'm going to put them on EverWebinar and run them on my website, so that if somebody clicks through on wanting to find out information about buying a home or selling a home, they can register for our webinar. And then they're learning more about us. They're getting a flavor for our energy, a feel of our flavor, our energy. You know, I'm going to put all of my agents on there so they can see us all. They can even request somebody if they, you know, I don't know, if they feel like they hit it off with somebody, you know, hey, we're both from Chicago. I'd love to work with David, you know, whatever. So that's kind of that's how that works. And you can play here with your fields. And then here is, do you want to, let me confirm that so we can move on to the next one. Here you can choose to charge for the for registration or make it free. So here's free, and then here's registration. Now you can actually do both, which I've been doing. It's a little bit confusing, but you can charge $99 for the webinar. But then anybody you want to allow on for free, you can actually give them the post-payment URL. So this page here actually takes them to the page as if they had paid. Example, I have a coaching group and I coach people on the technology that our real estate company uses, Keller Williams. So I coach on KW Command and lead generation strategies with Command. And I have coaching clients that pay a monthly fee to be part of the program. and they then get their webinars for free as part of their package, where anybody else coming in might pay $99 for that same webinar. And so I've got people that are paying for the webinar, and then my coaching clients, I give them the post payment page. So they still have to register, but they get there after the post payment. So that's it's a nice strategy. Little tricky, you got to stay on that. And then password protection. This is a little tricky. If you're charging, they have to use a password. Okay, so if I'm going to put up here that I'm going to charge $99, and then I'm going to give the link to the payment checkout here. So wherever I'm charging, it could be through Teachable, my course curriculum, or I'm going to send it to a Stripe page or a PayPal page, whatever it is. And then it's going to require a password. And what's tough about that is if you choose a unique password for each attendee and they don't know how to get to it, you're getting text messages right before you go live. Hey, I can't get in. It's too late. So I would suggest defining one master password, that way and making sure that everybody has it. In fact, in your 15-minute, your message that goes out 15 minutes prior in the text message, I would put password Ballen or whatever your password's going to be, so that they see that, because people forget. They don't pay attention. Not even that they forget, they just don't pay attention because you got all those details in a little email. You know, they don't always see that. So that's important to know. So put in your password there. And in my case, I'm going to put no password just so that we can proceed to the next screen. Okay, so we're going to say it's free for now. And now we'll go on to the next one. Okay, so here's the webinar notifications I was telling you about. Now you see how nice this layout is? It's very user-friendly, really easy to navigate. So now it says, how do you want your webinar notifications to go out? By email, by call or SMS, or both, which I have both. So notification alerts, you can see here. As soon as they register, they immediately get a welcome message. Now, you can edit this, and you can change whatever you want in this email. Now, you can see here, I always put my affiliate links in the email, because when I'm training, I'm talking about SEO, social media, marketing. So I'm talking about SEMrush and crowd content, 90X Broker, and listings leads. Same links that are in this video, I make sure that they're on everything. They're in my ebooks, they're on my emails. I do earn 6 figures as an affiliate marketer alone. That's just affiliate income, not including my other stuff. So it's a big deal for me to make sure that that's part. And it's for the user experience, because I'm going to talk about these things. They're going to go, what did you say? What software was that? They want to know what it was. You know, so you can tweak this however you want. So I make sure that all of my emails have that stuff on them. If I'm giving away an ebook or something like that, I may put a link to it in there at some point. And then here's pre-webinar reminders. So 3 hours before, 24 hours before, 48 hours before, you can add, take away, whatever you want to do with those, as much as you feel like you need to remind people. And then the last minute reminder, 15 minutes before I do an email and 15 minutes before I do a text message. Okay, so all you have to do is right here, add SMS. Once you set it up once in your system, the your phone number is always stored there. You don't have to keep doing it. And Twilio's not very expensive to do text messages. I think it's, what is it, 0.0077 of a penny or something like that to send a text message. So it's super inexpensive. So I do that, and then I just fill it up with credits and then run these. And then what you want your post webinar message to be. So you might put your ebook or your offer in that post message, right? So once you get that all set up and click confirm, then you can go to the next page. So email autoresponder integration. So I have found that if I use my own email autoresponder, then one, I can monitor and track things. In addition, I know that how the deliverability is going to be. And with certain email autoresponders and certain softwares, they don't get the emails, you know, and so I like to be able to integrate this. So you can integrate this with whatever you're using. Let me hit edit configuration. It tells you can integrate it with Aweber, ActiveCampaign, Infusionsoft, iContact, Card, Drip, ConvertKit, MailChimp, GetResponse, Ontraport, Zapier, and Zapier will integrate with most other things. So I could say, okay, I'm going to integrate this with Zapier that's then going to go to Zoho or whatever. And so if what you want is not on here, you can also do integration through Zapier. Okay, so I'm using Constant Contact in this example. And then do you want to embed your affiliate link? So you can set up an affiliate relationship with Webinar Jam, promote it yourself and make money. If you're one of my affiliate students, I would highly suggest doing that. Okay, if you're not, and that's not why you're doing this, don't worry about it. You don't need to set it up then. Basically, affiliate marketing is when you talk about a product, especially this is great for us trainers, when we teach people how we use things. When you talk about that software, product, or service, and you provide a link, and the customer fully disclosed clicks through the link and makes a purchase, then you make a commission. And that's how I earn 6 figures a year as an affiliate marketer, is through exactly that, because I teach how to use all the software. People then want it because it's great software, and then they use my link and sign up, and then they learn how to grow it with me as well because I teach it. So I only promote software that I use. I can't think of any software I've ever promoted that I didn't use. Potentially could be in a list, but these are what I teach, is the stuff that I use. Okay, integrate a third-party tracking system, so you can set that up. We'll have to come back to that one. I'm just getting ready to do that myself. So we'll go ahead and click confirm, and we'll go to the next page. And you know what I'll do? I will do a blog with this, and I will break down each one of those how-to on each item so that you can follow along. Then customize your thank you page. So you just click the little pencil and look at these thank you pages. They're phenomenal. So again, your thank you page could be another upsell if you wanted it to be. So see here, it's a video. Right now I could pop on and say, hey, wonderful. I'm so excited you signed up for the webinar. Let me just tell you a couple of quick things you're going to need to know. One, make sure you have all distractions turned off. We're going to go about an hour. I do not typically end early or go late. I respect your time. You will get a playback. And oh, by the way, I also have this incredible course. If you want to learn along with me, go over to ballenacademy.com and look for the Ballen Method to Marketing Bundle. You're going to learn blogging and YouTube and search engine optimization and everything you need to know, real estate, how to build a website, WordPress. It's all in the Ballen Method Bundle at Ballen Academy. So you see how I just did that upsell? That's what would be in your video, okay? So you've got that ability to do that. Auto subscription to future webinars. So you can enable this, yes or no. Do you want them to automatically be able to register for future webinars? Yes or no? Often a good idea to have people automatically registered, and then they get notifications. And they're opting in for that, which is nice. And then you can do a survey if you'd like to do a survey. I'll spell that out a little bit more in our blog. And then we have the ability to go live. Let me confirm. So if you want to do this live, you can set up your countdown right here. You can pre-configure your webinar polls. Oh, I'm sorry. This is actually preparing to go live. There is an ability to use YouTube live stream as well. But this part is just setting up what your live webinar is going to look like. So customize your countdown page. There again, the ability to use a video. And then we're going to pre-configure your webinar polls. So if you want to take a poll on the webinar, you would set that up here. And then your webinar offer. So this is a really cool thing. I'm going to show you in a minute when we do our little test where these pop up. But you can, if you know you're going to be talking about an offer, either an affiliate link or a product or service, you can actually pop it up on the screen. That's another one of my favorite features. And analytics shows you which ones got clicked, which ones got attention, which ones got ignored. And you can store that data, and then you start learning really quick what people like on the webinars and what they don't like on the webinars. Okay, pre-configure video injection. So if you want a little video to pop up and play at a certain point, you can do that here. Pre-configure file sharing. So if you want to pre-upload your ebook or 10 tips to do XYZ or something, you can preload those up here. Pre-configure your slide presentation. So if you're doing a slide deck of some sort, you can put that up here as well. So many amazing options here for you. We do need to confirm. This is one thing I do wish they would let us change, is I just need one confirm button for the whole page, not each one. Then we're going to click next. All right, enable webinar replay. So this is when you decide, do I want them to be able to watch a replay here, or do I want to disable that because I'm going to put it somewhere else? You have the option to do that, enable or disable, confirm. And then our last piece here is to test it. So we've got it all set up. Let's go back to the main dashboard, and we're going to take a quick look at what that looks like. Fiji water did not sponsor this video. That just happened to be my favorite water. Okay, so test for YouTube video. I'm in Vegas, so we have to drink a lot of water. So let's go over to run a test, or here's your link. So if you click on your links, you can actually get to the test either way. So what you have is the ability to invite people to the webinar. You have your presenter login links, and you have your replay. So we go to presenter login links, and we're going to go ahead to the live room. Okay, now it's going to have us do a little check. So as we go through each one of these little steps here, it's going to check our video and our audio. Let's see how this works since I'm using my camera right now. Start the test. Okay, do you see and hear your signal? There I am. Oh, and now I got two cameras. So we're going to click yes. All right, let me mute that so there's no, there we go. Okay, and then how does that look? Good. We're going to click yes again. We've got the video working. I'm coming behind this and adding audio because it won't run both the camera and the audio at the same time. So what I've found is if your little box is blurry when you look at it, go ahead and just click no and ignore the room there. Anytime you see anything that looks blurry, just click ignored like I did right there in that screen, and it'll then focus on the larger ones. This was the primary problem that I had when I was first starting with GoToWebinar, which was an issue. All right, so now let's go ahead and go into the webinar room, and I'll give you guys a little look around. You have the ability here to do many things. On the right-hand side, you've got your settings where you can enable chat. You can turn your camera on up top there, the little blue icon. You can turn your camera on and off. Then you can turn your microphone also on or off. And you can turn your screen on, screen share, and then your face will get small in the bottom of the corner, right-hand corner of the screen. And then you'll be able to do the whiteboard or put a screen behind you, and you'll stay on the screen there as well. Let me pop up that other screen there for you for a second. All right, we'll do this makeup one. Okay, there we go. I was shopping. So your face will still show up on the bottom. And if you have a co-presenter, they will show up on the left-hand side there as well. There will be two boxes side by side, and we'll both be presenting there on the screen if you want somebody else to show on the screen. They have the ability also just to answer questions if they don't actually want to present on the screen. Okay, so on and off. We've also got the whiteboard ability. This is something I have not used myself yet, but I know people love to use a whiteboard. So you can do that there as well if the whiteboard interests you. You can go back and forth between the whiteboard and to the screen capture or making your face large when you're talking to people as well. There again, on the right-hand side with settings, you can enable chat. You've got the toggle button that you can turn these on and off. So you can enable chat. You've got the ability to display a certain number of attendees in the room. You can allow attendees to raise their hand and request to speak in a live session if that's something that you want them to be able to do as well. I personally find that enabling the chat seems to get more interaction. I think it helps with retention because people are seeing things moving back and forth, and it helps remove the boredom of a webinar. So my personal preference is to leave that on, even though it's a little bit distracting. Now, next we have the ability to go to the chat, which is the second button there, and you can chat with just the admin or with everybody. So you can answer everybody at once, or you can be talking just to the admin separately. So that's what that option is for. Then the next option is for polls. So if you wanted to use a poll that you've already pre-formatted, that would show up here. Otherwise, we can create a poll. Do you work with first-time buyers? And then you put in your answers. Yes, no, you can add another answer. And then you can display the result at the end of the poll, and here's what it looks like. Now, polls also increase engagement and keep people more interested. So that's a great addition this software gives you as well. Next, we have offers. So this is when I talked earlier about the ability to show an affiliate link or a product or service. If you've pre-formatted them, you can use a little drop down, pull one up. It'll pop up there in the screen, and then you can publish it for everybody else to see. Now, do keep in mind, like I said earlier, there is a 10-second delay. So your offer will pop up before your video talking about it. So people will see that. So just keep in mind that it's not going to be simultaneous to your speech and your visuals. The offer is going to pop up just a couple minutes below. And then I'll show you afterwards the analytics software that allows us to actually look at what offers people clicked on, which I personally love as a marketer. I need to know which ones they liked, which ones they ignored. Then you got the ability to broadcast a video. You can share one of your preloaded files, show a slide presentation. You can also create all of these things right here in the test room should you need to. And then you've got the ability to allow or disallow people's requests to actually speak live in the room, which is not typical for a webinar to have everybody being able to engage. Those are more for small groups. Okay, you've got the ability to go live. I'm going to show you an example here. Let's go ahead and start the event so you can see what it looks like. Now, be careful about this. I one time was hosting a webinar, and without realizing, I clicked that button, and I completely missed the big green banner that shows up on the bottom that says you are live. And the presenter and I were live having a private conversation for 10 minutes with everybody listening to us. I guess a bunch of people had logged on early, and there we were having this conversation. So make sure that you're careful of that. You can see on the right-hand side where the microphone is, it will tell you if you're on air or off air. Okay, so you want to be careful about doing that. All right, so we will turn the webcam off, and let's go ahead and go into the analytics, which is one of my favorite pieces about this webinar platform. I think they're very easy to read, they're easy to use, and as a digital marketing strategist, I personally find these analytics to be oh so important and a very exciting piece of Webinar Jam. So let me go ahead and go over and show that to you guys. Okay, here we go. So we're just going to go into the webinar that I did last week. And all you have to do is go to Analytics, select Webinar, find the last webinar that you did. I only had one time on this one, so I'll just select that one, and then we're going to select Go. Now what we have here are analytics in each component. So the first one is traffic. Now, out of 773 visits to the registration page itself, 517 actually registered. So nearly 67% of those visitors became registered for the webinar, which is fantastic. And then out of those registrants, 164 showed up live, so 31.72% of the registrants, which is pretty typical to what I see, somewhere between 25 and 35% showing up live. And then we have a lot of replays, but you can't see my replays here because I sent them out through another platform. So that's another reason why to use replays through Webinar Jam so that you can see those analytics. Inside the webinar, we can see that the broadcast lasted 1 hour and 10 minutes. That's just because we were answering a few questions after the 1 hour mark. Almost all of them stayed on. The average was 51 minutes, which is great. And then from there, we can see that basically 76% saw the full webinar. Now, of course, we had the 9 minutes over of answering a few questions, and if we hadn't had that, that would have been a higher number. So good turnout, good engagement, they stayed, and then I can see the offers that people clicked. Now, my first one there won by a long shot. That was my sponsor. That was my featured element. So it makes sense that that one got the most clicks. And then I like to know what offers are being clicked and not clicked so that I can get, find out what people like and what they don't like and ignore the ones that they don't like and start focusing on the ones that they do. I also can see download the chat history, and they have a ratings ability. So out of this webinar, 9 people actually left me 5-star reviews there while they were on the webinar, which is a pretty cool little piece there. Now, monetization, if I had charged for the webinar on Webinar Jam, you would see those numbers here. This was a free webinar. I did not charge here. So that's why we don't see monetization. And then moving on to notifications, we have the ability to remind people of the webinar in multiple ways. So the first one there that went out immediately, 455 people got it, 307 opened it, 11 clicked through on the affiliate links that I included in that first email. All right, so you can include whatever you want, take a look at those numbers, and then we move on to the pre-webinar reminders. And in this particular case, I sent a reminder 3 hours before the webinar, 24 hours before the webinar, and 48 hours before the webinar. Now, I'm kind of thinking lately that 48 hours might be a bit too much. I don't know that that's necessary, especially looking through at the open rates and click-through rates. I think 24 hours before and 3 hours before is plenty. That 3 hours before is a big one. They're clicking on the webinar, they're engaging with it, so that 3-hour email before is really a key component. Now, if you've got your SMS text messaging set up here through Twilio or whatever service you're using, you can also send this text. And 15 minutes before, I send an email and send a text. So the 15 minutes before email got the most clicks, the most, not the most open rates, right? No, yeah, and the most open rates, most clicks. So super, super important. And then my text message just said, hey, reminder, log in. Didn't include a link, but I think I should try and see if I can include a link next time. And then the live post webinar, I didn't send it from here, so there's no stats. Next time I'm going to send it from here. We'll take a look at that. And then I have the ability also to download the registrations. I can email or text right here from the platform directly. These analytics to me are so important to find out how my marketing is doing. How is my webinar performing? What do I need to change? What can I improve on? What's working really well so that I know to keep doing that or do more of it. And that's why I love these analytics. I think they're easy to read and easy to understand. All right, there is a link below this video. Check out Webinar Jam. And Webinar Jam pricing is, it's an annual fee. Don't quote me, but it breaks down to around the $60 a month mark, which is the most affordable of any comparative platform that I've looked at. Well worth the sign up. Ever webinar is an additional fee, and both together I think is like $750 for the year. You might be able to get a trial or a coupon. I've included whatever links I have here below in the video for you to check out as well. I'm Lori Ballen. Thank you for joining me today.